building. If I've not met you, I'm Mark Poriski. I am the pastor here at Road Church. I'm also the chaplain at Westerly and Lawrence Memorial Hospitals, and you may have met me there. But it's a great privilege to have Walt Woodward back today. He gave a talk on Nathan Hale
It's almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago. That was wonderful. And I don't know if you're going to say anything about next month, but I'll leave that to you to do that at the end. But right now, I just want to say it's wonderful to have you here. I cannot tell you how delighted I am that we have this program, and we hope to continue to do so for many, many months into the future. Blessings to you and Walt. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Hi there. I can't tell you how much I love this church, and I love being back here. And thank you for coming, especially on this unusual day. I had this realization this morning. I had forgotten it was daylight savings, so I woke up and I looked out the window and I looked around and I just said, something's wrong. And I finally figured it out. So as I'm getting ready to come down today, I'm thinking, oh no, I've got a problem. And I said, here's the thing. If this was a 4:30 talk, it'd be fine. The talk would be over. People could go get dinner. But it's really 5:30 in their stomachs. So this is you're probably thinking, I wish he'd get done so I can go get something to eat. Don't worry, the cavalry is here. I have a trick-or-treat bowl. So what I'm going to do is pass this around and be generous to yourself. There's plenty in here. Now I selected these very carefully. They're Reese's peanut butter cups, so it's peanut butter, good and nutritious. But they're the smallest Reese's peanut butter cups I've ever seen, so don't take one. If you're not take plenty. And if you're not a chocolate person, I actually put in here some very healthy treats. They're not as good, but they're very healthy. There's some dates with orange peel. They're in the sort of brown packages. And then there's this thing is good because it says it's made good, and it's sort of a granola berry or granola cocoa thing, but have at it. And, this way, if your stomach's rumbling, it'll be happy rumbling So just pass it around, dig in. You keep going till it's gone, because none of this can go home with me. Because it wouldn't make it home. That's the problem. This is the only talk. Most of the talks I do with PowerPoints and many, many images, because I've kind of learned that we're visually oriented people now. All the media we live with has made us that way. But this is the one talk that I never use images with. And that's because the poetry of Robert Frost is so vivid in its depiction of things that to present a picture and say this is what he's writing about would spoil it. So what I want you to do, I think, and feel free, you become the artist. Every one of you is the artist tonight. You picture what Frost is talking about in the poems. Feel free to close your eyes, imagine, create the imagery that he has described for you. No snoring, because I will come around and visit you if you snore too loud. But other than that, I'm counting on you to be your own PowerPoint tonight. So, here's my story about my all-time favorite poet ever. It's called Frost Season. I first met Robert Frost when he was 85 and I was 11. He certainly didn't notice me. I never forgot him. All through that encounter, we were separated by a pane of glass and many hundreds of miles, for I was watching him on television. It was a January day in 1961, the dawn of Camelot, the day John F. Kennedy was inaugurated. I was an American, new to America. Throughout his campaign, Kennedy had ended every stump speech with a line he borrowed from a Robert Frost poem, and miles to go before I sleep. So it seemed appropriate to Kennedy to include Frost in the inauguration, too. Kennedy had asked the poet to write a poem specifically for the occasion. Frost at first demurred, then he finally gave in. And when he came before the television cameras on that, if you remember, those of you who are around then and remember back that far, it was a bitterly cold day in January. Black and white TV, and everybody was breathing out clouds of frost. But when Frost came before the cameras on that morning, he began the piece that he had composed. He started to read it. He said, "Summoning artists to participate in the august occasions of the state seems something artists ought to celebrate. Today is for my cause a day of days." But the bright sunlight hitting the podium made it very hard for the old man to read his own typescript. He fumbled a bit and he said, "I'm having trouble with this," he said. The new vice president, Lyndon Johnson, stepped up to the podium and he used his top hat to try to shade the script so Frost could read it, but to no avail. Frost waved him off. He set the script down and then he improvised. He recited a poem from memory, an older poem, but one that was also suited to the occasion. It was called The Gift Outright. The land was ours before we were the land's. She was our land more than 100 years before we were her people. She was ours in Massachusetts, in Virginia, but we were England's, still colonials, possessing what we still were unpossessed by what we now no more possessed. Something we were withholding made us weak, until we found out that it was ourselves we were withholding from our land of living, and forthwith found salvation in surrender. Such as we were, we gave ourselves outright. The deed of gift was many deeds of war, to the land vaguely realizing westward, but still unstoried, artless, unenhanced, such as she was, such as she would become. Now, when Frost said the land was ours before we were the land's, he was, of course, talking about land that in the time he was writing about, the 17th century, actually belonged to the continent's first peoples. But he was talking about those future owners, the 17th century colonists who had come to America to recreate Old England in a new setting. But I knew he was also talking about me, the boy born and raised in war-ravaged Europe by American parents and taught for the first decade of his life to love his native country by proxy. I knew viscerally what the land was ours before we were the land's meant. And in that second of hearing that poem on that day, I think I became a lover of Robert Frost and a historian of colonial America. At least that's how it worked out. The Gift Outright shows Frost to be an American poet who sang in words an American tune, as pure and as real as this American tune, written and sung by Paul Simon. Many's a time I've been mistaken, and many times confused. Yes, and I've often felt forsaken, and certainly misused. But I'm all right, I'm just weary to my bones. Still, you don't expect to be bright and bon vivant so far away from home, so far away from home. And I don't know a soul who's not been battered. Don't have a friend who feels at ease. Don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. But it's all right, 'cause we've lived so well so long. Still, when I think of the road we're traveling on, I wonder what's gone wrong. Can't help it, I wonder what's gone wrong. And I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, looking back down at me, smiled reassuringly. And I dreamed I was flying, and high up above, my eyes could clearly see the Statue of Liberty sailing away to sea. And I dreamed I was flying. Oh, we come on the ship they call the Mayflower. We come on the ship that sailed the moon. Come in the age's most uncertain hour to sing an American tune. But it's all right, you can't be forever blessed. Still, tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. That's all I'm trying, to get some rest. An American tune, to be sure. Oh, thank you. And one that resonates differently, but perhaps with more power today than in the America of Kent State and Vietnam, which was when Paul Simon wrote it. And here we are, half a century later, and every lyric still counts. During his lifetime, Robert Frost was truly America's poet, more loved and honored, and better still quoted by the American people than any poet before or since. But even more, he was a New England poet whose voice was a Yankee voice, and whose stories seemed to come from deep within the mountains and valleys north and west of Boston. This was true despite the fact that Frost was born in San Francisco, and he spent his first 10 years in California. It was true despite the fact that Frost left America and went to England to gain mastery of the poet's craft. His wellspring was and always would be the flinty, hard-scrabble world of the short-seasoned Yankee farmer. Perhaps the archetype of that New Englandness can be seen in one of his favorite poems called Mending Wall. In this poem about two farmers who come together once a year to repair the damage to their common stone fence, Frost reveals that he is indeed a New Englander through and through, in voice and in the marrow. The poet begins by telling us, something there is that doesn't love a wall. And at the end of the poem, I'd ask you to double back to that question and think with me about what that thing might be. Mending wall. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen groundswell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I've come after them and made repair, where they've left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. The gaps I mean, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each. And some are loaves, and some so nearly balls we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, it's just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side. Comes to little more. There where it is, we do not need the wall. He's all pine, and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. Oh, I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying. And he likes having thought of it so well, he says again, good fences make good neighbors. Well, something there is that doesn't love a wall. Anybody want to take a guess as to what that thing might be? Come on, be brave. You got that chocolate coursing through your veins.
The need for camaraderie.
The need for camaraderie. Okay, a need to be social. That's good. Communities hate walls, right. Well, Frost was really good. Again?
Your conscience.
Thank you. Your conscience hates walls. Well, not the other guy. He likes his walls. He's honoring his father. But here's the thing that doesn't love the wall. This is what I love about this. What I love about Frost. The thing that it's not the neighbor. He's the old stone savage arms. He likes his boundaries. He likes his borders. He likes protecting what's his. But something doesn't love the wall. It's Frost. That's what turned all those stones over. Frost heave. And it's also the poet who doesn't love a wall. It's Frost himself. And that's a secret message of this poem. And that little secret held back to be discovered is a New England trait too. Frost, like many of us, believed that things are a little better, they mean more, if you have to work a little bit to get at them. That's why it's almost always rewarding to dig below the surface of a Frost poem. Often, when you do that, you find buried treasure. I learned New England from Frost before I learned it from experience. For although I was the descendant of generations of Connecticut fathers and mothers all the way back to the source, I didn't come to claim my birthright until I was very much an adult. What I found when I did come is that Frost captured New England perfectly. The mountains, valleys, rivers, streams, trees, flowers, winds, and breezes, and the changing seasons. Frost recorded New England's seasonal moods better than anyone. Not just the look and feel, but the way a season seeps into your soul and seasons you. One of his most beloved works is a poem about winter and a man who stops what he's doing to take a long, hard look deep into a forest filling with snow. What does Frost mean for us to take the woods in this poem to be? Why, they're woods, of course, but might we also consider that the staring man is contemplating not just snow and darkness, but something else, maybe his own mortality? Maybe he's considering making an escape into the woods and away from the dullness of everyday existence. The nice thing about Frost poetry is you get to decide whether it's one or the other or neither or both, because you own the poet's poem. Stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there's some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. A poem for a winter's night would seem to call for a companion. A winter's night song, perhaps one like this one, written by Gordon Lightfoot. Move over, young fella. The lamp is burning low upon my tabletop. The snow is softly falling. The air is still within the silence of my room. I hear your voice softly calling. If I could only have you near to breathe a sigh or two, I would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter's night with you. The smoke is rising in the shadows overhead. My glass is almost empty. I read again between the lines upon each page the words of love you sent me. If I could know within my heart that you were lonely too, I would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter's night with you, and be once again with you. The fire is dying now, my lamp is growing dim. The shades of night are lifting. The morning light steals across my window pane, where webs of snow are drifting. If I could only have you near to breathe a sigh or two, I would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter's night with you, and be once again with you. Frost poetry can be matter of fact, it can be dark and melancholy, or it can be playful and ironic. One of my favorite snippets of Frost poetry reflects the latter. It's about another season, and I think this 6-line verse taken from the poem Two Tramps in Mud Time so captures the quintessential character of a certain kind of day in early spring that whenever that day comes, I recite it over and over again to anyone who will listen. And that's a lot of people who think I am out of my freaking mind, but that's the way it works. You know the day I'm talking about. After months, here it's coming, and we're going to go through it again. After months of longing for warmth, the sun finally shines bright and strong against the bracing wind, and you put your head, I put my face against the window, and I feel the warmth, and I think to myself, we made it, right? Frost described that day like this. He said, "The sun was warm, but the wind was chill. You know how it is with an April day. When the sun is out and the wind is still, you're 1 month on in the middle of May. But if you so much as dare to speak, a cloud comes over the sunlit arch, a wind comes off of a frozen peak, and you're 1 month back in the middle of March." Isn't that great? So if you want to hear it again, just call me on the first nice day next April. When I answer the phone, say "nice day," and then put the seatbelt on, because I'm off to the races. Frost was as good in summer as in winter and spring, as knowing on the beach as he was in wood or pasture. Another of my favorite short Frost poems is his description of people on a beach in summer. Now, we've all seen what he describes hundreds of times, but who but Frost saw the poetry in it? It's called "Neither Out Far Nor In Deep." The people along the sand all turn and look one way. They turn their back on the land. They look at the sea all day. As long as it takes to pass, a ship keeps raising its hull. The wetter ground, like glass, reflects a standing gull. The land may vary more, but wherever the truth may be, the water comes ashore and the people look at the sea. They cannot look out far. They cannot look in deep. But when was that ever a bar to any watch they keep? There you go. How many times have you been to the shore? And we all join, we're always looking out. Something about it. While Frost is indeed a poet for all seasons, the season with which I most closely associate him, of course, is fall. Perhaps because he's New England's poet and fall is New England's season, I've stitched the two together so closely that to me they're inseparable. So here's a Frost poem about the month of months, the months just ended, New England's month, the one that we call, which is like the poem he called, October. "O hushed October morning mild, thy leaves have ripened to the fall. Tomorrow's wind, if it be wild, should waste them all. The crows above the forest call. Tomorrow they may form and go. O hushed October morning mild, begin the hours of this day slow. Make the day seem to us less brief, hearts not averse to being beguiled. Beguile us in the way you know. Release one leaf at break of day. At noon, release another leaf, one from our trees, one far away. Retard the sun with gentle mist. Enchant the land with amethyst. Slow, slow. For the grapes' sake, if they were all, whose leaves already are burnt with frost, whose clustered fruit must else be lost, for the grapes' sake along the wall. For the grapes' sake indeed, But what do you think Frost intended for those grapes already burnt with frost to symbolize? Well, certainly grapes, of course, but what else? Poetic inspiration, the sweetness of life, something else? I don't know.
Opportunities past.
Say again?
Opportunities past.
Opportunities. I like that. Let's have a vote. Everybody for anything else? That's good. For the grape's sake, along the wall. Here's a song by Cheryl Wheeler. Cheryl Wheeler is she's a folk singer from New England, and I think she captured fall in New England musically the way October captured it poetically. This is, to my way of thinking, this is just an amazing song. It's called When Fall Comes to New England. When fall comes to New England, the sun slants in so fine. The air's so clear you can almost hear the grapes grow on the vine. The nights are sharp with starlight, and the days are cool and clean. And in the blue sky overhead, the northern geese fly south instead. The leaves are Irish setter red. When fall comes to New England, when fall comes to New England, and the wind blows off the sea, the swallows fly in a perfect sky, and the world was meant to be. When acorns line the walkways, then winter can't be far. From yellow leaves a blue jay calls, grandmothers walk out in their shawls, and chipmunks run the old stone walls. When fall comes to New England, frost is on the pumpkin, squash is off the vine. Winter warnings race across the sky. Squirrels are on to something and they're working overtime. Foxes blink and stare, and so do I. 'Cause when fall comes to New England, oh, I can't turn away from fading light on flying wings, and late goodbyes a robin sings, and then another thousand things. When fall comes to New England, when fall comes to New England. Isn't that a pretty song? Frost taught me New England and its seasons, but he taught me many other things. I confess to reading him early and often as I grew up, and often turning to his poetry the way some people do to close friends or scripture for comfort, direction, and inspiration. He rarely failed me. When one of my dearest friends, for example, who with her husband had tried many years to conceive a child, and they finally succeeded in doing so, and then having carried him to full term, lost David only hours after he was born, I struggled for something, anything to say. This was a sorrow beyond words, for all but someone as gifted as Frost, who wrote this poem that I shared with him. It's about that first moment in spring when the leaves just come out and they have a color that's unique for all the year. It just happens in that first few days. The poem's called Nothing Gold Can Stay. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay. Frost helped me in other ways, too. Many years before I became a historian by profession, I was a songwriter in Nashville. And in my late teens, I wrote a couple of country music hits. Ask any songwriter where his inspiration comes from, and you will get an amazing variety of answers. It's just incredible where people find their muses. For me, at least sometimes, the answer was Robert Frost. Country music is about telling stories, and no one told a story better than Robert Frost. So what I'd like to do now is read one of Frost's narrative poems and follow it up with the song that poem inspired me to write. It's a pretty long poem, but it's also a terrific story. It's told mostly in dialogue between a man and his wife. It's called The Death of the Hired Man. Mary sat musing on the lamp flame at the table, waiting for Warren. When she heard his step, she ran on tiptoe down the darkened passage to meet him in the doorway with the news and put him on his guard. Silas is back. She pushed him outward with her through the door, and she shut it after her. Be kind, she said. She took the market things from Warren's arms. She set them on the porch, then drew him down to sit beside her on the wooden steps. When was I ever anything but kind to him? But I'll not have the fella back, he said. I told him so last haying, didn't I? If he left then, I said, that ended it. What good is he? Who else'll harbor him at his age for the little he can do? What help he is, there's no depending on. Off he goes always when I need him most. He thinks he ought to earn a little pay, enough at least to buy tobacco with, so he won't have to beg and be beholden. All right, I say, I can't afford to pay any fixed wages, though I wish I could. Someone else can, then someone else will have to. I shouldn't mind him bettering himself if that's what it was, but you can be certain when he begins like that, there's someone at him trying to coax him off with pocket money in haying time when any help is scarce. In winter, he comes back to us. I'm done. Shh, not so loud. He'll hear you, Mary said. I want him to. He'll have to, sooner or late. He's worn out. He's asleep beside the stove. When I came up from Rose, I found him here, huddled against the barn door, fast asleep. A miserable sight, and frightening too. You needn't smile. I didn't recognize him. I wasn't looking for him. And he's changed. Wait till you see. Where'd you say he'd been? He didn't say. I dragged him to the house and I gave him tea and tried to make him smoke. I tried to make him talk about his travels. Nothing would do. He just kept nodding off. What did he say? Did he say anything? But little. Anything? Mary, confess. He said he'd come to ditch the meadow for me. Warren, but did he? I just want to know. Of course he did. What would you have him say? Surely you wouldn't grudge the poor old man some humble way to save his self-respect. He added, if you really care to know, he meant to clear the upper pasture too. That sound like something you've heard before? Warren, I wish you could have heard the way he jumbled everything. 2 or 3 times I stopped to look. He made me feel so queer to see if he was talking in his sleep. He ran on Harold Wilson. You remember, the boy you had in haying 4 years since. He's finished school and teaching in his college. Silas declares you'll have to get him back. He says the two will make a team for work. Between them, they'll lay this farm as smooth. The way he mixed that in with other things. He thinks young Wilson a likely lad, though daft on education. You know how they fought, all through July, under the blazing sun. Silas up on the cart to build the load, Harold alongside to pitch it on. Yes, I took care to keep well out of earshot. Well, those days trouble Silas like a dream. You wouldn't think they would. How some things linger. Harold's young college boy's assurance piqued him. After so many years, he still keeps finding good arguments he sees he might have used. I sympathize. I know just how it feels to think of the right thing to say too late. Harold's associated in his mind with Latin. He asked me what I thought of Harold saying he studied Latin like the violin because he liked it. That an argument? He said he couldn't make the boy believe that he could find water with a hazel prong, which showed how much good education had ever done him. He wanted to go over that. But most of all, he thinks if he could have another chance to teach him how to build a load of hay. I know. That's Silas' one accomplishment. He bundles every forkful in its place and tags and numbers it for future reference so he can find and easily dislodge it in the unloading. Silas does that well. He takes it out in bunches like big birds' nests. You never see him standing on the hay he's trying to lift, straining to lift himself. He thinks if he could teach him that, he'd be some good, perhaps, to someone in the world. He hates to see a boy the fool of books. Poor Silas, so concerned for other folk, and nothing to look backward to with pride, and nothing to look forward to with hope. So now, and never any different. Part of a moon was falling down the west, dragging the whole sky with it to the hills. Its light poured softly in her lap. She saw and spread her apron to it. She put out her hand among the harp-like morning glory strings, taut with the dew from garden bed to eaves, as if she played unheard the tenderness that wrought on him beside her in the night. Warren, she said, he's come home to die. You needn't be afraid he'll leave you this time. Home. Yes, what else but home? It all depends on what you mean by home. Of course, he's nothing to us, any more than was the hound that came a stranger to us out of the woods, worn out upon the trail. Home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in. I should have called it something you somehow haven't to deserve. Warren leaned out. He took a step or two, picked up a little stick. He brought it back, broke it in his hand, and tossed it by. Silas has better claim on us, you think, than on his brother? 13 little miles as the road winds would bring him to his door. Silas has walked that far, no doubt, today. Why didn't he go there? His brother's rich. a somebody, director in the bank. He never told us that. We know it, though. I think his brother ought to help, of course. I'll see to it if there's need. He ought of right to take him in and might be willing to. He may be better than appearances. But have some pity on Silas. Do you think if he had any pride in claiming kin or anything he looked for from his brother, he'd keep so still about him all this time? I wonder what's between them. I can tell you, Silas is what he is. We wouldn't mind him, but he's just the kind that kinsfolk can't abide. He never did a thing so very bad. He don't know why he isn't quite as good as anyone, but he won't be made ashamed to please his brother, worthless though he is. I can't think Si ever hurt anyone. No, but he hurt my heart the way he lay and rolled his old head on that sharp-edged chair back. He wouldn't let me put him on the lounge. You must go in and see what you can do. I made the bed up for him there tonight. You'll be surprised at him, how much he's broken. His working days are done, I'm sure of it. Oh, I'd not be in a hurry to say that. I haven't been. Go, look, see for yourself. But Warren, please remember how it is. He's come to help you ditch the meadow. He has a plan. You mustn't laugh at him. He may not speak of it, and then he may. I'll sit and see if that small sailing cloud will hit or miss the moon. It hit the moon. Then there were three there, making a dim row. The moon, the little silver cloud, and she. Warren returned. Too soon, it seemed to her. He slipped to her side, caught up her hand, and waited. Warren, she questioned. Dead, was all he answered. There was an old man called Harvest John. He'd come to us every year when fall was coming on. He'd stand at the gate with his hat in his hand, and my mama would say to him, John, it's good to see you. Won't you help us get the harvest in? And for a month or so, the world was good. John could harvest more than all of us together could. When nighttime came, we'd sit around and old John would tell us tales that brought on dreams of pirate ships and fighting wars and riding rails. I guess most of the dreams we dreamed we got from John. Best time that we'd seen with Daddy gone. And when he'd go, although he tried so many things to make him stay, he'd only shake his head and say, I'd just be in the way. Nobody knew where John would go, but we knew that he'd be back about a month before the snow. Then one year the cold winds came without a sign of John. Though no one told us kids a thing, somehow we knew where John had gone. My mama said, John's just like Ken, and without him there's no way we'll get that harvest in. Then snow came, covered everything we had raised to eat, and a saddle doctor told us, kids, your mama's in her heaven sleep. The house still stands, but the fields are bare, and like the grain left in those fields, us kids are scattered everywhere. But my mind goes back to a harvest time when I was only 10, the year the good Lord needed John to help him get the harvest in. I guess most of the dreams we dreamed we got from John. Best times that we'd seen with Daddy gone. When he'd go, though he tried so many things to make him stay, he'd only shake his head and say, I'd just be in the way. There was an old man called Harvest John, and the world's not quite as happy now that John is gone. There was an old man. Frost died in winter on January 27, 1963, 2 years after my encounter with him at Kennedy's inauguration. His health had been failing, and he knew his time had come. I feel as though I were in my last hours, he told a friend the afternoon before he died. That same night, after losing consciousness from a pulmonary embolism, a great and long life quietly came to an end. His poetry lives, and it will continue to live. First, because it speaks deeply and truly to people like you and me. And second, because like the stone wall and the turning leaf, it is and always will be part of New England, our region's poetic voice. His biographer, J. Perini, wrote that Frost understood that universality is the product of intense local habitation. Frost knew that a literary artist must inhabit a specific place and learn the speech of that place and time. Locality gives art, Frost wrote in an early notebook, and Frost's locality was here, in our hills and in our souls. The last poem is called Reluctance. Out through the fields and the woods and over the walls I have wended. I have climbed the hills of view and looked at the world and descended. I have come by the highway home, and lo, it is ended. The leaves are all dead on the ground, save those that the oak is keeping, to ravel them one by one and let them go scraping and creeping out over the crusted snow when others are sleeping. And the dead leaves lie huddled and still, no longer blown hither and thither. The last lone aster is gone. The flowers of the witch hazel wither. The heart is still aching to seek, but the feet question whither. Ah, when to the heart of man was it ever less than a treason to go with the drift of things, to yield with a grace to reason, and bow and accept the end of a love or a season. Oh, all the comrades that e'er I had, they are sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts that e'er I had would ask me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be with you all. Thank you very much. Well, I had fun and you had chocolate. What more could you ask? Thank you. Thank you for coming. Oh, there you go. Yeah, and please, please, please empty that bowl. That's your job.
Take it upstairs.
Take it upstairs, yes, I'll do that. I just wanted to make sure we say thank you again to Walt, as he's been here the second time, and I love listening to his voice. It's so melodious. He does such a wonderful way of telling a story. So thank you again. I appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
out here.
It's so nice to be here. The first time I walked into this church, it felt special, and it still does. I love this place. I don't know why, but it's, yeah.
Probably harken back to your Connecticut roots.
Probably, I'm sure.
So we are going to have some food next door, so please come and join us. That'll help settle out some of your chocolate sugar rush that you got going on. We also have Jason Casangway coming next month. He'll be doing some Christmas music for us. He's blind since birth. He plays the piano, the harp, different instruments, sings as well. And for the first time, we're going to have a little bit of a light display out in our field. At the same time, we're hoping to have that going and starting the day after Thanksgiving. So please come and join us for all of that. And keep an eye on our website, which is fccstonington.org, fccstonington.org. That's got our event calendar on it. We've got events that are also put out on Facebook. So please join us. If you have the chance, or you can, or you're willing to, please feel free to donate. That helps us bring more programs. We've been doing this for about a year and a half. We're trying to do a variety. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. But we're going to keep doing this as much as we can for as long as we can for everybody. We want it to be free for as many people as possible. So thank you for coming. Please join us next door, and thank you again, Walt.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thank you.